please note that this is systematic racism. I'm going to give you the reason why, so please pay attention. My wife just mentioned Indian again. When we were checking also on the video, so this is our part 2 of the previous one, and my wife mentioned Indian near the end of it. The reason she mentioned Indian again is because the Indian factor involved in this. We were watching certain YouTube videos, and they also mentioned certain ones. They mentioned an Indian factor that we're dealing in, watching over them, following them, and trying to and harassing them, and they had to speak up against them. Now, this is unusual, but when I'm saying systematic racism is because they are of a specific race that's coming in and doing this particular thing. So that's why I'm mentioning that now and just trying to tie the things in, because we have that same element involved in our situation.
And in YouTube, they mentioned certain countries, and they were all from Eastern background. I don't know if it's a religious thing as well, but you guys know that I think in Bangladesh and certain countries, right, people don't have rights, women, and we saw people all line up, giving away their kidneys and things for a price. And their own people, they'll do it too. And it's also a money thing, as in, what do they call it? Class system?
Yes.
In these East countries, of the class system. So now they're bringing this to Canada as well. We heard about in England and in Atlanta. Lots of girls has commenting on their YouTubes that they have been trafficked. Young girls are wanted for sex. We're old now. We may be not useful for that, but we are useful as Black people, have strong hearts, strong organs as well, they've been saying. So I guess if you rub corporate companies the wrong way, like we did with Scotiabank and Ford, they may put your name out. You never know. We're travelers. My license was missing for how long? Because I did my license, remember, on the internet. My husband did his too, and we were told by Service Canada, you never do your license on the internet. There are fraudulent people now making sites, covering websites now, right? Even for car dealerships, selling cars. Right? You think you're selling your car to a legit business, but yet they'll take your VIN number when you sell a car. They want the ownership papers and take all your information, but it could be a false company covering over a legit site. And then they have all your information and falsified your evidence, saying you lost. They will pretend to be you, your name, go to the company and say they lost their keys. Hence, they have your keys to get into your car, which we experienced, our door opening with us in it, and none of us touched our keys. Next, Service Canada license. I didn't get my license, delayed for how long? My husband as well renewed our license because we're traveling, right? Canadian teachers internationally teaching at a Canadian school, right? Egypt, Lebanon is East, everyone. The East. Egypt, Lebanon, East, right? And they wanted us to come to Turkey and Malaysia, but we turned it down, right? They have all his information there that he sent as well to these countries, right? I like the Bible. I wanted to experience the Red Sea, the pyramids. We're older. Our kids are grown. We were doing this, guys, just because we're getting older. We're traveling. People say, well, why are you traveling there? Well, we just wanted to travel. Our kids are all grown. We have 5 kids. Like I said, I have 10 sisters, 2 brothers. Large family. These people think we're lonely and we didn't have a life because we're traveling. We were in hotels a lot and things. They didn't know that we worked with. My husband was a correctional officer, a probation officer. We are police officers in our in our family. People that work for NASA and RCMP. They didn't know we had these kind of backup. So these people are thinking we're weak individuals. Police officers were out there being bribed ambulance workers, tow truck drivers, restaurants, Tim Hortons, people being paid off, subways, as you know, and all of these things, these YouTubers are owned. Gas stations, hotels are mostly owned by, not Chinese, everybody, East Indian peoples, right? I don't know if it's religious as well, but they sure pray us down. These people are wicked people, okay? You know, I know there's Catherine, there's Catholics, there's religious groups, there's Jehovah Witnesses, there's Hindus, there's Islamic people too. We all have different, religious stuff.
Yeah, and there's good and bad.
And there's good and bad in every religion.
Every country, it's not about one particular
Racism.
race, but we know that when
religion.
we were being chased down at this particular, our particular situation, we'd go at certain locations, and you'll see maybe a telephone get pulled out or something, and it happened to be East Indian.
Pictures were taken of me several times in traveling as well. And I'm sorry, honey, for cutting you off. I'm going to go back. My license I did not get for months. I had to apply 3 times for my driver's license. And the one that came back to me did not have the donor card in it. Did someone say yes for my organs? That's why we decided. Someone said yes. When I checked my mail, the other part that said donor was missing, but my license were there, and it was gone for a long time. But people, we may not even get this video out to you. This is part 2. We're trying to get part 1 out. We may not be living, guys, but I believe they're trying to break in our homes, trying to break in wherever we go. They're trying to break in our storages. Everywhere we go, they're trying to plant trucks
I just want to add,
to break in with budget trucks.
when my wife was mentioning about the garbage situation, we're also told that there was a vehicle outside, and the person that was inside the vehicle that was parked out, and no one knew who they were, happened to be of Indian descent, or they appeared to be Indian. Again, there have been situations by the home where my parents' home, and they would come by, and they would stop by, and people would have to brush them off and say, "Why are you parked here?" Not just my parents, other people would just ask them, "Why are you parked here? Why are you coming?" Because they thought that this was the last place that they had seen us. So they're coming around these locations.
More.
I mentioned systematic racism, and the reason I mentioned systematic racism is because everybody knows racism as a one-on-one situation, but systematic is very subtle for the public to see. So an organization, as I was mentioning, this Indian Brotherhood, whoever they are, they will use their contacts against other people. And they'll be in different walks of life, and they have spread around, and there's a large population of them. When it's systematic, for instance, in a situation where you may have only one black person in a position, suppose you have only one police officer that's black, and you have a police force that's mainly white, it's very difficult for you to try to bribe all the white police officers there. There's good and bad in everyone, but you can target one single person, and that's what will make that person very scared, and they will more or less do whatever you ask them to do. It doesn't matter if they're police officers. It doesn't matter what walk of life they are. If you're a small number within any kind of corporation, you can be easily targeted.
If we're dead, you know why. Please pray for us.